Alright guys, we are back on chapter 9, The Art of War. On the march. On the march. Master Sun said, "In taking up position and confronting the enemy, cross mountains, stay close to valleys, camp high and face the open, fight downhill, not up. These are positions in mountain warfare. Cross rivers, then keep a distance from them. If the enemy crosses a river towards you, do not confront him in midstream. Let half his troops cross before you strike. If you wish to do battle, do not confront the enemy. Close to the river, so do not confront the enemy close to the river. Occupy high ground and face the open. Do not advance against the flow. These are positions in river warfare. Cross salt marshes rapidly. Never linger. If you must do battle in a salt marsh, keep water plants close by and trees behind you. These are positions in salt marshes. On level ground, occupy easy terrain. Keep high land to the right and rear. Keep death in front and life to the rear. These are positions in level ground. Observation of these 4 types of positions enabled the Yellow Emperor to defeat the 4 emperors. Armies prize high ground, shun low. They esteem yang, avoid yin. Nurture life, occupy solid ground. Your troops will thrive, victory will be sure. On mound, hill, bank, or dike, occupy the yang, with high ground to right and rear. Use the lie of the land to the troops' benefit. When rains upstream have swollen the river, let the water subside before crossing. When rains upstream have swollen the river, let the water subside before crossing. If you come to heaven's torrents, heaven's wells, heaven's prisons, heaven's nets, heaven's traps, heaven's cracks, quit such places with all speed. Do not go near them. Keep well away. Let the enemy go near them. Keep them in front, let him have them at his rear. If you march by ravine, swamp, reedy marshland, mountain forest, thick undergrowth, beware. Explore them diligently. These are places of ambush, layers for spies. When the enemy is close at hand and makes no move, he is counting on a strong position. If he is at a distance and provokes battle, he wants his opponent to advance. If he is on easy ground, he is luring us. If trees move, he is coming. If there are many screens in the grass, he wants to perplex us. Birds rising in flight are a sign of ambush. Beasts startled are a sign of surprise attack. Dust high and peaking is a sign of chariots approaching. Dust low and spreading is a sign of infantry approaching. Dust in scattered strands is a sign of firewoods being collected. Dust in drifting pockets is a sign of an army encamping. Humble words coupled with increased preparations are a sign of impending attack. Strong words coupled with an aggressive advance are a sign of impending retreat. Humble words, that's crazy, huh? It's alright, guys, it's okay. Strike. Get away, we're coming, we're gonna get you. That means they're really trying to get away. Light chariots emerging first on the wings are a sign of battle formation. Words of peace but no treaty are a sign of a plot. Much running about and soldiers parading are a sign of expectation. Some men advancing and some retreating are a sign of decoy. Soldiers standing bent on their spears indicate great hunger. Bearers of water drinking first indicate great thirst. An advantage perceived but not acted on indicates utter exhaustion. Birds gather on empty ground. Shouting at night is a sign of fear. Confusion among troops is a sign that the general is not respected. Banners and flags moving are a sign of disorder. If officers are prone to anger, the men become weary. If they feed grain to their horses and meat to their men, if they fail to hang up their pots and do not return to their quarters, then they are at bay. Men whispering together, huddled in small groups, are a sign of disaffection. Excessive rewards are a sign of desperation. Excessive punishments are a sign of exhaustion. If a general is by turns tyrannical and in error of his own men, it is a sign of supreme incompetence. Envoys with words of consolation desire cessation. Protracted, fierce confrontation with neither engagement nor retreat must be regarded with great vigilance. In war, numbers are not the issue. It is a question of not attacking too aggressively. Concentrate your strength, assess your enemy, and win the confidence of your men. That is enough. Rashly underestimate your enemy, and you will surely be taken captive. Discipline troops before they are loyal, and they will be refractory and hard to put to good use. So be kind until they could trust you. Discipline troops before they are loyal, and they will be refractory and hard to put to good use. Let loyal troops go undisciplined, and they will be altogether useless. That's good parenting too. Command them with civility, rally them with martial discipline, and you will win their confidence. So command them with civility, respect. Consistent and effective orders inspire obedience. Inconsistent and ineffective orders provoke disobedience. When orders are consistent and effective, general and troops enjoy mutual trust. So chapter 9, On the March, with commentary. Zhang Yu. Once one knows the 9 changes, one can choose one's goal and march. Master Sun said, in taking up position and confronting the enemy. Zhang Yu. The section below, from cross mountains to these are places of ambush, layers for spies, concerns taking up position. The subsequent section, from when the enemy is close at hand and makes no move to, must be regarded with great vigilance, concerns confronting the enemy. Guiles. The rest of the chapter, after the 2 sections already identified by Zhang Yu, consist of a few desultory remarks, chiefly on the subject of discipline. Cross mountains, stay close to valleys. Du Mu. Once the army has crossed the mountains, it should stay close to the valleys, which have the advantage of water and grass. As Master Wu said, do not stay in heaven's ovens, the mouths of large valleys. In other words, stay close to the valleys, but not in them. Zhang Yu. Stay close to the valleys because of the supply of water and grass, but also because it is safer there. In the later Han, Ma Yuan was sent to exterminate the Giang tribesmen of Wudu. The Giang brigands were up in the hills, and the Ma occupied a favorable position, not offering battle but seizing all the supplies of water and grass. The Giang were eventually forced to surrender out of sheer hunger and exhaustion. They clearly had not grasped the advantage of staying close to the valleys. Camp high. Guiles. Not on high hills, but on knolls or hillocks elevated above the surrounding country. Or knolls. Not on high hills, but on knolls or hillocks elevated above the surrounding country. And face the open, Cao, the Yang, or sunny side. Yang. Fight downhill, not up, Cao. Do not confront the enemy from a lower position. These are positions in mountain warfare. Cross rivers, then keep a distance from them, Cao. In order to tempt the enemy to cross after you, Zhang Yu. In order not to be impeded in your movements. If the enemy crosses a river towards you, do not confront him in midstream. Let half his troops cross before you strike. Master Wu's Art of War, Chapter 2. When the enemy is crossing a river and only half his force is across, then you can attack. Zhang Yu. Wait until he is halfway across the river. Then his ranks will be disorderly, his vanguard out of contact with his rear, and attack will be sure to bring victory. He Yangzi. In the spring and autumn period, the Duke of Song came to the state of Chu to do battle at Hong. Before the Chu army had crossed the river, the Song troops were already drawn up in battle array. The Song marshal said, "The enemy are many, and we are few. I request permission to attack before they cross. The Duke would not grant him permission. The true forces crossed, and before they had time to draw up the ranks, the marshal asked again. Again the Duke refused. The true army drew up their battle array, and the Song army finally attacked and was roundly defeated. The Duke himself was wounded in the thigh, and his vanguard totally destroyed. It was because the Duke of Song went against this maxim that he was defeated. Translator. As Brigadier General Griffith points out, this story is a source of Chairman Mao's remark, "We are not like the Duke of Song." Li Quan, as in the great victory won by Hong Xing over Long Zhu, the true general at the Wei River. Translator. Giles bases his description of this famous battle between Han and Long on the account in the history of the former Han. The two armies, Han and Chu, were drawn up on opposite sides of the river. In the night, Hong Xing ordered his men to take some 10,000 sacks filled with sand and construct a dam a little higher up. Then, leading half his army over, he attacked Long Zhu. But after a time, pretending to have failed in his attempt, he hastily withdrew to the other bank. Long Zhu was much elated by this unlooked-for success, exclaiming, "I felt sure that Hong Xing was a coward." He pursued him and began crossing the river in his turn. Hong Xing now sent a party to cut open the sandbags, thus releasing a great volume of water, which swept down and prevented the greater portion of Long Zhu's army from getting across. He then turned upon the force which had been cut off and annihilated it, Long Zhu himself being amongst the slain. The rest of the army on the further bank scattered and fled in all directions. If you wish to do battle, do not confront the enemy close to the river. Do Mu, or he will have misgivings and not cross. Do you. If you wait for the enemy too close to the river, he will not cross and will thereby deny you the opportunity to attack. Occupy high ground and face the open. Zhang Yu. Either draw up your troops on the riverbank or anchor your boats in the river itself. In either case, it is essential to be above the enemy and to face open, sunny ground. Do not advance against the flow. Du Mu. Do not take a position downstream in case the enemy opens the sluice gates and floods you out. I think slush. S-L-U-I-C-E. Zhang Yu. The state of Wu attacked the state of Chu. Chu ordered its minister to consult the oracle about the outcome of a battle. The response was not favorable. Marshal Sima said, "We are upstream. How can it be unfavorable?" So they attacked Wu and were victorious. Translator. This is the seventh stratagem in the 100 Ingenious Stratagems, a work probably dating from the early Ming dynasty, which takes as its point of departure maxims from the Master Sun and several other military treatises. The historical illustration is the same as that given by Zhang Yu. These are positions in river warfare. Cross salt marshes rapidly, never linger. Wang Zi. Salty, low-lying terrain offers no sustenance. Zhang Yu. Such damp, unhealthy terrain with scant vegetation should be passed through quickly. If you must do battle in a salt marsh, keep water plants close by and trees behind you. Li Quan. If you are obliged to linger and do battle, this position will be less dangerous and vulnerable. These are positions in salt marshes. On level ground, occupy easy terrain. Cao Cao. Terrain suited to chariots and cavalry. Translator. This is Cao Cao's idea. The use of cavalry became commonplace in the 4th century BC, largely inspired by the nomadic barbarians, the Xiongnu, but in Master Sun's own time, if we place that in the first half of the 5th century BC, there were chariots and mounted archers, but not cavalry proper. Du Mu. Easy ground is smooth and firm. Zhang Yu. Level ground, free from depressions and hollows, suitable for rapid, sudden attacks. Keep high land to the right and rear. Du Mu. The Grand Duke said an army should have a stream or marsh on its left and a hill or tumulus on its right. Translator. Note how similar this kind of advice is to the advice given by geomantic experts on the situating of a dwelling place. In both cases, the client is being advised how to derive the most benefit from the dynamic of the situation and its topographical features. So an army should have a stream or marsh on its left and a hill on its right. So keep death in front and life to the rear. Du Mu. Death means low, life means high. Zhang Yu, although Master Sun calls it level ground, there are slight elevations, and these must be on the right and rear if we are to exploit the lie of the land. Low land must be in the front, and high land behind if we are to launch a swift attack. These are positions on level ground. Observation of these 4 types of positions: Zhang Yu, mountain, river, salt marsh, and level ground. Observation of these 4 types of positions enabled the Yellow Emperor to defeat the 4 emperors. Li Quan, the Yellow Emperor, received his military treatise from his minister Fang Ho. How? Translator: strategic military knowledge like sexual knowledge, medical knowledge, geomantic knowledge, and other branches of occult knowledge was often said to have been revealed to the great mythical ancestor of Chinese civilization, the Yellow Emperor, in a mysterious fashion, usually by a woman, guardian of the arcana. According to one probably quite late version of the legend, the Yellow Emperor lay for 3 nights in a mist on the sacred peak of Mount Tai, and was there instructed in the secrets of a military treatise, not by his minister, but by the dark girl, a creature half human and half bird. Similarly, Zhang Liang was said to have received his military treatise, the treatise of the Grand Duke, from a strange old gentleman, whom he met again 13 years later in the form of a yellow stone, and Sun Bin received his instruction from the mysterious master of Spirit Valley. The excavated bamboo strip text contains a lengthy expansion of this reference to the Yellow Emperor, listing the 4 other emperors that he defeated: the red, green, black, and white. Army's prize, high ground, shun low. Mei Yao Chin. High ground is not only more agreeable and salubrious, it is strategically superior. Low ground is not only damp and unhealthy, it is also disadvantageous for fighting, because water settles there. They esteem yang, avoid yin. Zhang Yu. Yang is east and south, yin is west and north. Mei Yao Chin. Yang ground is clear and easy, yin ground is dark and contrary. Translator: for yang and yin in this passage, the French translator Jean Levy, like Marcel Granet before him, uses a southern dialectal expressions adret and ubak, the sunny and shady side of the mountain, following the traditional interpretation of the Chinese commentators, which seems perfectly natural in this context. But he correctly points out that the Chinese words have a much wider and more abstract range of meanings. In the very first sentences of chapter 1, Master Sun has already referred to yin and yang as an aspect of heaven, one of the 5 fundamentals in all military planning. This sets the Chinese commentators off on lengthy speculations, but it should never be forgotten that even the earliest commentators date from several centuries after Master Sun, who was himself far less involved in the intricacies of the yin-yang polarity. The treatise of his descendant Sun Bin is far more pervaded by the terms and by the yin-yang way of thinking. Nurture life, occupy solid ground, your troops will thrive, victory will be sure. Dumu, the life force is yang, solid ground is high. Nurture the life force of your troops on high ground, and you will not suffer from dampness and other yin ailments. You will be healthy and victorious. On mound, hill, bank, or dike, occupy the yang with high ground to right and rear. Dumu, Mei Yao Chin. Occupy the eastern and southern flanks, not necessarily the heights, but a position with an open, clear aspect in front of it, and the high, solid ground to the right and behind you. Zhang Yu. A yang aspect means clarity. High ground behind you means security. Use the lie of the land to the troops' benefit. Mei Yao Chin. The strategic dynamic of the land is working for you. When rains upstream have swollen the river, let the water subside before crossing. If you come to heaven's torrents, because upstream goes downstream, so it's going to be going fast. So, Cao / Mei Yao Chin. Great waters and precipitous ravines. Translator: I am following Wang Zi's textual emendation here, as proposed by Wu Jiulong. Heaven's wells. Cao Mei Yao Chin. Places enclosed on every side by steep slopes with pools of water at the bottom collecting the water of the torrents. Heaven's prisons. Mei Yao Chin. Places surrounded by precipices on three sides, easy to get into but hard to get out. Of. Heaven's nets. Mei Yao Chin. Thickets choked with such dense undergrowth that spears cannot be used. Heaven's traps. Mei Yao Chin. Low-lying muddy morasses, impassable for chariots and horsemen. Heaven's cracks. Mei Yao Chin. Narrow passages between beetling cliffs. Translator. In a fragment cited from a later source, these heaven's cracks are listed together with grave tumuli and old walls as places to be avoided in war. See Li Ling, 1997, p. 181. Quit such places with all speed. Do not go near them. Keep well away. Let the enemy go near them. Keep them in front. Let him have them at his rear. Sun Bin's Art of War, Chapter 8. The 5 deadly terrains are heaven's wells, heaven's prisons, heaven's nets, heaven's cracks, and heaven's pits. These 5 tombs are death traps. Do not stay in them. If you march by ravine, swamp, reedy marshland, mountain forest, thick undergrowth, beware. Explore them diligently. These are places of ambush, lairs for spies. Mountains, forests, reedy marshland, swamp, ravine, thick undergrowth, beware. Explore them diligently. These are places of ambush, lairs for spies. Zhang Yu. We must also be on our guard against traitors who may lie hidden, spying out our weaknesses and eavesdropping on our commands. Okay, so when the enemy is close at hand and makes no move, he is counting on a strong position. Wang Zi, his position is strong, so he is unafraid. Giles. Here begin Master Sun's remarks on the reading of signs, much of which is so good it could almost be included in a modern manual like General Baden-Powell's Aids to Scouting. If he is at a distance and provokes battle, he wants his opponent to advance. Giles, probably because we are in a strong position from which he wishes to dislodge us. Du Mu, if he were to come close to us and try to force a battle, he would seem to despise us and we would be less likely to respond to the challenge, so he keeps a distance. Chen Hao, having once lured us into advancing, he will seize the opportunity to attack. If he is on easy ground, he is luring us. Zhang Yu, if the enemy has quit the strong ground and taken a position on exposed terrain, it must be either because there is some hidden advantage or because he wants to lure us into battle. If trees move, he is coming. Cao, they are felling trees to clear a passage. Or they are felling trees to clear a passage. Zhang Yu, every army sends out scouts to climb high places and observe the enemy. If a scout sees that the trees of a forest are moving and shaking, he can deduce that they are being cut down to clear a passage for the enemy's march. Another interpretation takes it to mean that they are cutting wood for weapons. If there are many screens in the grass, he wants to perplex us. Du Yu, the presence of screens or sheds in the midst of thick vegetation is a sure sign that the enemy has fled and, fearing pursuit, has constructed these hiding places in order to make us suspect an ambush. Giles, it appears that these screens were hastily knotted together out of any long grass which the retreating enemy happened to come across. Birds rising in flight are a sign of ambush. Zhang Yu, if the birds that are flying along in a straight line suddenly soar upward into the sky, it means that soldiers are setting an ambush below. Beasts startled are a sign of surprise attack. Zhang Yu, surprise attacks are usually launched from some precipitous height or out of dense undergrowth, and this startles the creatures lying hidden there into sudden movement. Dust high and peaking is a sign of chariots approaching. Mei Yao Chin, horses and chariots are heavier than men and raise a higher cloud of dust. Zhang Yu, they also stay in the same track, and so the dust rises higher in columns. Every army on the march sends scouts ahead who, on sighting dust raised by the enemy, gallop back and report it to the commander-in-chief. Translator, Giles offers us a quotation from Baden-Powell's Aids to Scouting. As you move along, say, in a hostile country, your eyes should be looking afar for the enemy or any signs of him, figures, dust rising, birds getting up, glitter of arms, etc. Dust low and spreading is a sign of infantry approaching. Do move. Foot soldiers move more slowly abreast so the dust stays lower and is more widespread. Dust in scattered strands is a sign of firewoods being collected. Zhang Yu. Men are sent off in parties to gather firewood in various places so the dust rises in scattered strands. Dust in drifting pockets is a sign of an army encamping. Zhang Yu. In planning the defenses for a camp, small detachments of light cavalry will be sent out in all directions to survey the position and determine the weak and strong points, hence the small drifting pockets of dust. Humble words coupled with increased preparations are a sign of impending attack. Dumu. The enemy's envoys come to us with words of appeasement. Meanwhile, they are busy fortifying their position. They appear afraid of us, but their real aim is to make us contemptuous and slack after that which they will attack us. Zhang Yu, Records of Grand Historian, Giles. So Zhang Yu / Records of the Grand Historian / Giles. The Gi general Tian Dan was defending the city of Jimo, besieged by the Han, besieged by the Yan. Forces under the general Gi Ji. Parts of this famous story have already been alluded to by the commentators in Chapter 2, where it illustrates the importance of motivating troops with anger, and also in Chapter 3, where it is an example of how to win a victory out of a situation of weakness by lying low and waiting for an opening. When he knew his men were ready to fight, General Tian, to everyone's surprise, took a mattock and began working along with his troops while he enrolled the men's wives and concubines in the ranks. He distributed the last rations of food. Regular soldiers were told to keep out of sight, and the women were sent up onto the city walls. Envoys were sent to the enemy camp to surrender. The Yan commander was overjoyed. Then General Tian collected a large quantity of silver from the citizens and ordered the wealthy inhabitants of Jimo to deliver it to the Yan commander and to plead with him, saying, "When our town surrenders, we beg you not to plunder our homes and take our wives and concubines prisoner." Qi Ji, in excellent humor, granted their prayer, but as a result his men in the Yan camp became slacker and more complacent than ever. Meanwhile, Tian Dan got together 1,000 oxen, decked them with pieces of red silk, painted their bodies dragon-like with colored stripes, and fastened sharp blades on their horns and wild grease rushes on their tails. When night came on, he lit the ends of the rushes and drove the oxen through a number of holes which he had pierced in the walls, backing them up with the force of 5,000 picked troops. The animals, maddened with pain, dashed furiously into the enemy camp, where they caused the utmost confusion and dismay. For their tails acted as torches, showing up the hideous pattern on their bodies and the weapons on their horns, killed or wounded any with whom they came into contact. In the meantime, the band of 5,000 had crept up with gags in their mouths and now threw themselves on the enemy. At the same moment, a frightful din arose in the city itself, all those that remained behind making as much noise as possible by banging drums and hammering on bronze vessels, until heaven and earth were convulsed by the uproar. Terror-stricken, the Yan army fled in disorder, hotly pursued by the men of Qi, who succeeded in slaying their general Qi Ji. The result of the battle was the ultimate recovery of some 70 cities that had belonged to the Qi state. Strong words coupled with an aggressive advance are a sign of impending retreat. Cao, deception. Light chariots emerging first on the wings are a sign of battle formation. Cao, they want to fight. Words of peace but no treaty are a sign of a plot. Li Quan, if there was talk of peace but no proper treaty, there was a plot going on. This is what Tian Dan did at Jimo. Chen Hao, if for no apparent reason the enemy asks for peace, it must be that his country is in trouble and he's looking for a respite, or else he knows of some way that we can be undermined and wants to forestall our suspicions by talking of peace. Then he will pounce. Much running about. Giles, every man hastening to his proper place under his own regimental banner. Much running about and soldiers parading are a sign of expectation. Li Quan, they are about to join battle. Giles, the critical moment has come. Some men advancing and some retreating are a sign of a decoy. Dumu, feigned confusion designed to lure us into advancing. Soldiers standing bent on their spears indicate great hunger. Li Quan, they are too weak even to stand upright. Bearers of water drinking first indicate great thirst. Zhang Yu, if the bearers drink before they return to camp with the water, the thirst of the entire army can be imagined. An advantage perceived but not acted on indicates utter exhaustion. Zhang Yu, they know they are too worn out to fight, so even though they can see an opportunity, they do not dare take it. Birds gather on empty ground. Chen Hao, if the enemy has gone and left the camp empty, birds will no longer be afraid and will gather on his campground. Master Sun is telling us how to distinguish the true and the false in the enemy situation. Shouting at night is a sign of fear. Du Mu, fear makes men restless. They shout at night to keep up their courage. Confusion among troops is a sign that the general is not respected. Chen Hao, when the general's orders are not strict and his behavior undignified, the officers will be confused. Banners and flags moving are a sign of disorder. Du Mu, when Duke Zhuang of Lu defeated Qi at Changzhou, Cao Gi begged to pursue the Qi army. The Duke asked him why, to which he replied, I have seen how disorderly their chariot ruts are and how their flags droop. That is why I wish to pursue them. See the Zhu commentary, Legi's translation, pp. 85-86. If officers are prone to anger, the men become weary. Chen Hao, when a general embarks impetuously on unnecessary projects, he exhausts his men. If they feed grain to their horses and meat to their men, Giles, in the ordinary course of things, the men would be fed on grain and the horses would chiefly eat grass. Translator, the commentators are not sure if this refers to horse meat or slaughtered cattle. Either way, these are desperate measures. If they fail to hang up their pots and do not return to their quarters, then they are at bay. Mei Yao Chin, they abandon their cooking pots to cook no more. They sleep out in the open and do not return to their quarters. This means they wish to fight a decisive battle, that they have set their hearts on victory. Translator, the last word of Master Sun's text, Qian Ku, literally hard-pressed, seems to have originated with Master Sun. He also uses it in chapter 7. Levy uses the expressive French term au abo, abois, which conjures up the image of a stag at bay and the pack of dogs howling, in other words, of an enemy with his back against the wall. As Master Sun says several times, such men are dangerous. Men whispering together, huddled in small groups, Du Mu, muttering under their breath, are a sign of disaffection. Excessive rewards are a sign of desperation. Du Mu / Giles, when an army is hard-pressed, there is always a fear of mutiny, and lavish rewards are given to humor the men. Excessive punishments are a sign of exhaustion. Giles, because in such a case, discipline has become relaxed, and unwonted severity is necessary to keep the men to their duty. If a general is by turns tyrannical and in error of his own men, it is a sign of supreme incompetence. He, Yangzi, the competent general, should seek a balance of tolerance and severity. Envoys, with words of consolation, desire cessation. Du Mu, either they are desperate or they desire cessation for some other reason. Protracted, fierce confrontation with neither engagement nor retreat must be regarded with great vigilance. Cao, Giles, a maneuver of this sort may be simply a ruse to gain time for some unexpected flank attack or the laying of an ambush. In war, numbers are not the issue. It is a question of not attacking too aggressively. Wang Zi, do not rely just on military force. Use planning, strategic wisdom, and accurate assessment of the enemy before attacking. Translator, as Giles comments, this marks the beginning of the last section of the chapter, consisting of a few desultory remarks, chiefly on the subject of discipline. Modern commentators have drawn the parallel with the American effort in Vietnam, where vastly superior resources were powerless against guerrilla warfare. Concentrate your strength, assess your enemy, and win the confidence of your men. That is enough. Rashly underestimate your enemy, and you will surely be taken captive. Chen Hao, Giles. It is said in the Zhuo commentary, bees and scorpions carry poison. How much more so will a hostile state? Even a puny opponent should never be underestimated. Discipline troops before they are loyal, and they will be refractory and hard to put to good use. Let loyal troops go undisciplined, and they will be altogether useless. Cow. Even if a cordial trust and empathy already exists, discipline is needed, or they will become arrogant and slack and hard to put to any good use. Command them with civility, rally them with martial discipline. Wang Zi, Giles. In the words of Master Wu, the ideal commander unites culture, Wen, with a martial temper, Wu. The profession of arms requires a combination of harness and tenderness, and you will win their confidence. Consistent and effective orders inspire obedience. Inconsistent and ineffective orders provoke disobedience. When orders are consistent and effective, general and troops enjoy mutual trust. Du Mu. In time of peace, a general ought to show sympathy and confidence toward his men and also make his authority respected, so that when they come face to face with the enemy, orders may be executed and discipline maintained because they all trust and look up to him. Zhang Yu, Giles. The general has confidence in the men under his command, and the men have confidence in obeying him. Thus the trust is mutual. Master Wei Liao said, the art of giving orders is not to rectify minor blunders and not to be swayed by petty doubts. Giles. Vacillation and fussiness are the surest means of sapping the confidence of an army. Vacillation.